Have you tried everything? Have you exhausted every possible option, scenario, combination, tool, and approach? Have you determined whether or not there is another person out there that has performed the exact same task you are attempting, or at least something similar? Have you read every book, blog, journal, magazine, and website? If the answer to any of these questions is no, then go back and try again, because you don't truly know if you can do something until you've tried absolutely everything. But I suggest removing the phrase "I can't" from your lexicon and replacing it with "I can't yet."
I think the top CEO on the planet Earth still has that doubt. This is about the mind and people discovering the mind, their own mind. What's gonna make you tick? What's gonna make you go the distance? What's gonna make you go to that spot in hell and say, I love this spot? It's okay. A lot of us don't know of a whole nother world that exists. It's on the other side of suffering. Once you break these barriers that you have made for yourself, like the mind is the most powerful thing in the world. It is so amazing that I used to be a 300-pound guy and I thought that was it. Could barely read, could do anything, and now that what was inside that person was this guy that's in front of you today. That's how scary the mind is. And that's what I started realizing through this journey, is that once I got a taste of, wow, man, I haven't even cracked. I haven't even begun to crack what the mind is capable of. And what I started realizing is on the other end of suffering, that's the real growth of life. Our mind wants to protect us. The mind is like, honestly, it has a tactical advantage over us. It knows our deepest, darkest fears or insecurities. It knows where we start to feel, we start getting that doubt creeping that says, hey man, you know what, man, maybe this isn't good. Let's go back home to the wife. Let's go back home to the kids. This is not comfortable. So in that moment, the mind directs us. It's a protective mechanism. It saves us from doing bodily harm, or it really saves us from discovering that the mind's like, I want to be in charge of you. I don't want you to be in charge of me. So it tells you, let's just stop right here. Because we forget we are in control of our mind. We believe it's the other way around. No, we put in our minds what we should do, but we believe our mind is telling us, it's giving us all this feedback. We have to reprogram it and tell us, no, we're good. We're good, we got this. This sucks, but it's okay. A lot of us don't believe that we can achieve the impossible. You can achieve the absolute impossible. What you need is straight up, brutal work ethic. You have to be willing to outwork everybody in the world. And that's the hard part. If you walk into any kind of event, whether it be physical or mental, if you walk in with already putting that block on your mind of, man, this ain't gonna happen. People go, how'd you run 100 miles with no training? Because I went into it not thinking, I can't do this, man. I went into it with a strategy. I had an open-mindedness. So until your mind is open to the possibilities that I can do this, you would never be able to do it. Once the mind starts to believe it can be achieved, it then, only then, does it start to break down tactically how we can do this. Until then, you're gonna always lose. When you're afraid of something, you have to master it. That's how you start to overcome it. So what I realized, when I get to that point where I wanna quit, everybody, they get to the point where they wanna quit. This is what happens. The mind tells you, let's go home. Let's take a warm shower. Let's get some food. This is not right. This is that. If you cannot answer the questions at that moment, because your mind's gonna start giving you all these questions. And if you can't answer them, you're going to quit. What I realized when I was going through Buds, Ranger School, all this 100-mile race, 200-mile races, pull-up records, my mind would come creeping in. My mind said, look, brother, we've done all these other things. You've proven yourself. You're good. If I didn't have the answer to respond to my mind and say why I'm here, why I'm doing this, you will always lose that fight. You have to have the response to what your mind is going to tell you. They asked me, what do you think about when you're on mile 100 of a 205-mile run? What are you thinking about when you realize you've run for 24 hours and you have 24 more hours to run and you have another 105 miles? What goes through your mind? Your self-talk has to change. The most important conversation you ever have is the one you have with your fucking self. But it doesn't work without the suffering before your mind starts saying we need self-talk. So what I tell myself is I go back to the months and years of preparation to get to that day. And I'm telling myself, the 3:30 in the morning, and I'm looking at my shoes and I want to go out there and run 30 miles. I have to, in that second, in that moment of this self-talk, my mind saying, you gotta find more, you gotta find more. I once again calm down, go back into my mind, and I have to reflect back on the shit I did to get here. And that becomes my self-talk. Self-talk does not work unless it is real. Most of us lie to ourselves in the self-talk. It doesn't work. It has to be real. It has to be something that you've done to make it really work.
When I'm broken, I'm gonna use it. Because if I'm broken, then I just found my limitations. And until I know what my limitations are, how can I push them? How can I get better? Once I see it, once I feel it, once I see where I was broken, then I can attack that weakness. I can fill in that gap. I can reinforce that breach. If you break, it means it's time to fortify your will to make it stronger. Every time you break, and in every way that you break, it's definitely a chance for you to give up and for you to just to fall apart. But there's also opportunity. There's opportunity to get stronger and get smarter and get faster and get tougher and get more stable and get more resilient and get better. When you break, you have the opportunity to show the world, the whole world, what you are really made of. So if you break, the fight isn't over. In fact, if you break, the fight is just beginning. And as you crawl up and out of that dismal and wretched place, and you're covered in blood and sweat and dirt and filth as you rise above what you were, and as you take the form of who you are supposed to be, you will see that in the very act of standing up, in the very act of fighting on, you will become and you will remain unbroken.
I think pushing yourself physically is the number one factor of life. That is the true spot where you can really dive deep into. Life's about self-discipline. It is about self-discipline. We tend to do the things that are easy. And that is it builds no mental toughness, it builds no mental hardening, it builds nothing. When you work out, working out is where you can build that the fastest. Because it's a constant, it gives you instant feedback. Yeah, you may not lose the weight you want to real fast, but the discipline it takes, it transfers over to all aspects of your life. This is the foundation of life.